Why Vermont? What was it about this race?
I think it's one of the oldest. It's still got horses on the course, as you and I both. We can talk about that. Cool. The horse thing was cool.
You don't see him till late though. But I feel like that's good.
It was good
because the whole time you were like excited about seeing the horses.
Yes.
And you had to wait half a day.
Yeah, it was near nightfall when we saw our first horse. I don't know if it's the same for 100 milers. I don't even know, as we said, the whole horse thing was kind of a mystery to the two of us, and I think still sort of continues to be of like start times. I think I read something that they're staggered throughout the day, but I don't really know why we didn't see a horse until like, what, 4:35 in the afternoon, maybe
yeah,
later?
I think they don't want to crowd everybody onto the course at the same time. But
anyway, the horse thing was intriguing. It's not too far from our house. It's definitely the oldest 100-miler in New England. It's part of the Grand Slam. Mm-hmm. It is a Western States qualifier. I don't know if I want to include that in the video because I actually don't want to give up the secret. I think it's like so, especially the 100K. People might know that about the 100
That's
miler.
the barrier, Greg, is that people are like, oh, I would have run 100K if I had known.
I know, I feel so stupid, but we'll probably get into that with our time goal of 17 hours. But anyway, for all those reasons, Vermont's just so beautiful. I like running on like the terrain appealed to me. Like I kind of like not overly technical. Like the thought of doing 100 miles in the White Mountains, for instance, like kind of a non-starter for me. I just can't even imagine. We did the Kilkenny and that was so unbelievably difficult. But the thought of doing it on like dirt roads and grassy fields and stuff seemed like a little more doable to me, and I kind of like that stuff.
Rolling hills instead of 3-hour climbs.
Exactly. No big, huge mountains, but a lot of elevation.
There was a lot of elevation.
Yeah. So I wanted to love this race. I did love this race. I'm glad we're talking about it. We did the 100K. We could talk about whether or not we'd ever consider a 100-miler. But what was your feelings like? I was so excited when you decided to join the lottery, like with me, you know?
Yeah, I had done my research on it, and I knew that there was like 9,000 to 10,000 feet of elevation. I knew we weren't going up any huge mountains or anything, so I was expecting rolling hills. I think when you're out there, some of those hills are long and steep, like way more than I was expecting it to be, which is great. I'll be honest. Like it was a nice breakup.
Yep.
That was obviously the longest race that either of us had done. And there were times that we were like begging for an uphill for an excuse to walk and slow it down. But I mean, overall, great race, super well marked. Never once did we have to like really think about where we were going a single time. Well, 8 stations were amazing.
And you had it teed up on your watch.
Yes, and I had to rep, but like it was unnecessary. And then 8 stations were awesome. They were like, it was I've run a lot of really big races, mostly road for the big ones, and on other trail races, everything's so small and remote, and it's like 2 people at an aid station and no fanfare whatsoever. Like I've never run a trail race where there's actual like fanfare.
Kind of style, almost,
And this one, there were aid stations that you get to, and like at like 100 yards leading up to the actual aid station was like people on both sides of the road. You were like, you felt like you were at like UTMB, you know, and as you're walking up, like,
you're right. I wish
racing.
I wish I remembered a little bit better. I think I do have the aid stations on my phone. Some of the names of them. I know Camp 10 Bear for sure because we saw it twice. It was kind of, that had probably the biggest atmosphere, maybe.
Paulie's, I think, the one like real
the
late
one at the top of that hill. Yeah, is that where we saw your friend's husband with the carriage?
Yeah, he was pushing a carriage up the hill. Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Like it kind of resembled what I've seen on YouTube for some other bigger races. That it wasn't even that it was like a ton of people, but it was like just seeing them sitting and clapping in like beach.
You could hear it like coming up.
Exactly. So,
2 miles in, 60 to go.
Yeah, baby. It felt like a step up, right, from like the stuff we did.
For sure.
And I suppose we should back up. It's been kind of fun that like you and I have been running together for like almost 10 years now, and you've been running longer, but you and I doing stuff. And pretty early on, like you introduced me to like Western States and a lot of this stuff. I kind of didn't even really know a ton about the trail running culture. And yeah, I remember sitting at your house a long, long time ago and watching Killian finish Western States on a YouTube video. And just trying to process the fact that people even do 100 miles was really exciting. So yeah, it is daunting, but it's fun that we're making like, here we are 10 years later.
We've had a good progression.
Miles. It's a good
marathon,
progression. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
50K, 50 miler, 100K. We've done it very systematically.
Exactly. So I think that's probably hopefully good. And it's, I have to say now that we've done this race, I loved it. I think we both talked about like I totally want to go back. I can't imagine doing 38 more miles in some ways.
You know, I think at the time when I was in the moment, there was no way that like you could think about doing another 38 miles. 5 miles in.
Yeah, buddy, doing it.
57 to go. But I feel like that's also, we've talked about this before, like when you're going out for a 13-mile training run and you get to 13, you're like, oh God, I can't even imagine running 100K. And you're like, well, that wasn't your day to do it. So you weren't mentally prepared. Like 1 week later, and of course this is like when you've lost all the soreness and everything and most of your toenails. But I kept thinking to myself, I was like, could we have like really moved forward for another 38 miles? I think we could have. I think we could have done it in, you know, under the 30 hours or whatever it is, if we just kept moving forward.
It would have, it seems like it would have been really mentally tough. But I think in terms of cutoffs, you're right. Why we weren't near the cutoffs or anything.
No, so we were nowhere near the cutoffs.
As long as we could have continued just kind of plodding along at that pace, there's probably a chance we could have done it. And that is, I guess, exciting in terms of like the ultimate goals of getting back to the 100 stuff. But
eating and drinking at that point, like, and that was my struggle. But I feel like I would have come back from that. I was feeling much better towards the end of that race.
Exactly, classic Nick Lunger fashion. You
needed to make it harder. 20 miles.
Crash
of no
early
food.
and then rise from the dead. You sort of had your natural pattern.
That's what, you know, like. The longer these races are, the more opportunity it is for like when you're if you're going to struggle for even like 2 hours.
Yeah.
During a marathon, your day is done. Like that's it. The race is over. When you're running for, you know, 12, 16, 24 hours, there's so much time for it to be like, this will end and you will be on the other side of this. Your body will stop resisting. It'll be like, we tried. He's continuing to go. All systems back to normal. We'll come back later. But I feel like it was really, both of us went through that.
Yeah, definitely.
You're surprisingly like, in a place that I would have never guessed. And then you came back from that really strong. And then I went promptly into my dark area.
Yep. Exactly. And then I would say, near the end, I was really mentally like ready to be done. And I feel like you were definitely more peppy. I wasn't talking as much. We would encounter somebody. You were kind of like, I think, just feeling less like stomach distress, or like you'd started eating again a little bit. And like, so naturally it made sense. Whereas I think I was just like ready to be done.
10 miles in.
Loving it.
52 to go.
Crushing it.
And somehow the dark like woke me up.
Yeah, totally.
But maybe it shrunk my world where you weren't like looking at these huge hills or how long the straightaway was. But it was a great race, and I tend to lean a little bit more towards the technical running. I think there are sometimes on these non-technical runs where it's so hard to not be aware of how hard it is because you're just so like there's nothing to focus on except for you got to keep moving. Whereas when it's technical, you can get lost in the like, you know, picking your feet up and you're looking at 5 feet in front of you for the line that you're going to run and things like that. And I like that. I also like it gives you a lot more excuse to slow down at certain times and speed up at others. It's a lot more clear, whereas on a non-technical, the governor is how you're feeling at the moment. Like, there's a long straightaway, you decide whether you want to run that or not. You downhill, this like you decide how hard you want to run that, whereas some technical is like you have no choice. It's going to tell you how hard or fast you're going to run.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. That makes sense.
But it was great. It was for our first 100K. It was the perfect place for us to do that, and the course was amazing. It was gorgeous, Vermont. The views were great. Running through some pretty scenic, exactly what you'd hope for.
Yeah, and here's some, you know, I have some video running from being up there in 2017, and you know, put up some of the videos that you took with your phone this year that we ran in 2025. But I think it over delivered to me. Like, you expect Vermont, it's going to be beautiful. It was even more beautiful.
Yeah, we were like, I mean, in the video showing just then that scene, like. It was sort of in a tunnel of forest. There were very few times where we were in a just like road in the woods. Like there were obviously sections like that, but more often than not, there was stuff to look at. There was barns, like you were going through some places that there was more houses and they were gorgeous like farmhouses and things like that. And then you get through some areas where all of a sudden you'd turn a corner and there'd be a field that's like, I don't know how big an acre is, but 40 acres, right? It's huge. Absolutely. It's just like as far as you can see.
Yeah.
And it was pretty amazing.
Looked like a postcard. I mean, in so many places, like I just kind of couldn't get over like how gorgeous it was. So backing up a touch, just in terms of like reflecting on how we did, thinking about next year. Go all the way back to like, you remember your prep. Like I wrote in my topic stuff, the first thing I wrote was like the carb load phase. I felt like you were really dialed in and probably helped you, and that you ran into some like
and
issues
I
during
didn't
the race,
bonk.
but you had bombed, you had taken in so many calories. But tell me about like what was
and for
your
clarity, my
carb
stomach
load
issues
phase?
didn't hit until mile 42, I think, or something like that. So it's not
You
like
ran
what
a marathon and a half. Yeah,
it's not what
exactly.
I ate the night before was really
Yeah.
bothering me, because that would have showed up a lot earlier in the race. It was the
Exactly.
like lactic acid buildup. I think I was a little bit heavy on the goos too quickly. Like one of the things I would change is I would slow down, because my heart rate was never like 150. So I don't need to be taking a goo every 30 to 40. I would do it like every 60 minutes, and then have my supplemented water and keep it that way instead of, I think, but those are things you learn, or it could have been that day. But yeah, the carb loading was a big deal for me. Like I'd done a lot more research of, for a marathon or like even a 50K where it's like a 7-hour effort, it's very different of, you can go to your glycogen stores and all the carbs you're taking in pretty easily. But my watch told me after the 100K, we burned 7,500 calories. That is a wild amount of calories to burn. And so, I wanted to be careful about not taking in too much fiber. I wanted the carbs to be like light carbs. And it was like 3 days in advance I was doing that. And then we just kept housing food the whole day before.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. You showed up at my house, drive up in your truck, and you had a full pizza with you. It was probably like around noon or something. I think I'd already basically eaten lunch. We started chowing on the pizza like halfway up. And then we went to the expo, which was great. Got our bibs. Amy did the great pre-race talk. We talked to some, people at tables, got some merch and stuff. That was fun. Then they had a meal. And we both like loaded up full plates there. And then we went back to the hotel. And then we had like we sat down to dinner. We went to dinner. So it was like, I'd say we had like, I had breakfast that day too. So it was probably a good 5 solid meals, and then just like sipping electrolytes in between. And I really think you kind of were like cheerleading and was smart of just like that, like, I think I probably did carbo load more than I ever had. But I want to like specifically talk about, I remember this, I found this kind of funny, but we went out to eat at, the 110 Grill or whatever in
fine dining in Vermont.
And I remember we both grabbed our menus, and that was a moment where, I don't want to speak for you, but I know for me, like, all of a sudden it did feel like this might impact whether or not my stomach goes crappy tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like
you were getting into the hours of like, we're going to start running in
exactly.
12 hours from now.
Did you feel that way? I felt like we were both kind of like really analyzing, looking at that menu. Like I think I had my head, I was thinking pasta, and they didn't really have like a pasta dish, or maybe if they did, it had like cream sauce or something.
Another really huge positive about the Vermont 100K is the 9 a.m. start.
Totally.
So wasn't as worried. Knew that we could get up like naturally. Didn't have to even set an alarm. We'd wake up at like 7 or like 6:30.
Yeah.
And you could make sure your stomach was feeling in a good place. So
100%.
I was not as worried about it because of the night. If it was like a 4:30 or 4 a.m. start, then I maybe would have cut that meal.
You're right. And what was great about that is, I think it's so true. We both weren't saying a lot about it, but it felt like we were really agonizing for our choices. And then we kind of both had that same, maybe one of us even said it. We're running at 9. Like this isn't going to make or break our race. And I think I remember I got steak tips and potatoes and rice
Mashed
or something
potatoes,
like that. And I was kind of feeling like, man, meat the night before, like, but I was just sort of craving it. I kind of like to, I was talking to Scott about this, our friend Scott, but even in races, I kind of like to go into aid stations and just go with like what my body's craving.
Yeah, I think I told you
something to
I
that.
PR'd in watermelon that day.
Yeah.
That was in every aid was watermelon, bananas. That was like,
Yes.
not only were the aid stations fun, but they were packed with like, they had pickle, icicle, like ice bars or something like that at one aid station, but they had everything that you need. So
Everything.
I would not take any of the nutrition that I packed away, because I'm not racing, so I'm not worried about a couple of extra ounces, because I'm carrying 3 extra gels. I'd rather have them and put them away when I get back instead of like, God, I ran out of food 3 hours ago.
For sure.
But that race had tons of good food to eat. Mile 16.
Loving it.
47 miles, 6 miles.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
The aid stations were super well stocked, and
Tons of ice too. And we didn't even have a hot day. We had a great weather day.
We did. We got very lucky. That's one huge wild card for future Vermont 100K is that I during the race, I was really feeling that sense of kind of an awe of people who've been able to do it when it's like 97 degrees and humid, because hard to know, right? Just like what that impact would have on your body. I suspect it makes it like twice as hard. I mean, it's got to be a monumental because we had like 76
It was like
degrees.
84 peak.
It was 84 peak, like, and dry, not even humid, and it was like the first nice day of the summer, it felt like, which was just amazing. All day pace.
20 miles in.
Getting it done.
42 to go.
Woo.
Phew.
So let's talk about goals. It was the longest race we had both done. So I think we both kind of felt like a goal is to finish, right? Like that was the main thing. Like, let's finish this race.
I think we secretly had an A goal of sub 17.
Yeah, and we even kind of talked about things go well for us. We probably
our wives were like, how long do you think this will take you? I'm like,
probably, yeah.
A 5-hour window
Yeah.
could be reasonable. I had it could have taken us 12 hours and I would have been like, amazing. And it took us 16 and a half and I was like, amazing. I felt like that was a great outing.
It felt great that we really kind of put like you're right. Number one was to finish, and that really was true. Any race like this, I feel like even a marathon, like there's no guarantees. Like, everybody's had their struggles in these long races, depending on the day. But 17 was a pretty hard number that we kept going back to, and you were doing the math like throughout the race many, many times because we encountered that guy. I don't know if we were even halfway yet.
We were so early in the race.
Same time goal as us, and he was like, he just gave off like a cloud of negativity, and it was like, it really like.
It was like mid-afternoon, and just for context, we finished at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So it was real far away from the end
early.
of it.
And he was so just like had accepted that like 17 is out of the... And it was just so bizarre that he had that same number as us.
And he finished before us.
And he finished before us late in the race. I think he passed us, right? Mm-hmm. Which is awesome. I'm so psyched he rebounded. But just his sort of certainty of like that the 17 is out the window, it kind of changed our race because that was from that point on.
He got in our head a little bit.
Yeah, got in our head. Exactly.
Mile 25.
Woo! 37 to go.
Almost a marathon in. But it was fine because we were able to pretty confidently know what kind of a pace we had to continue to average in order, like, and the closer you get to the end, the more time that you have to give up to like sway the overall pace that we were at. Like
exactly.
It was
your average doesn't move
I
as
felt
much,
pretty confident despite what that guy said that we were
yeah, I got a little more nervous, I think, but
because you have to average it was like 15:20s or something like that was what we had to average to finish another 17.
Yeah.
And our first 50 miles was in like 12s or something like that, or like 12, 30, or 40, so
we're moving a lot faster. Yeah.
When you've got that many miles banked over the last 20, we would have had to been running like 19s in order to like, and I was pretty confident, but yeah, it definitely got in our head, and maybe it helped. Maybe it helped us keep a fire going.
I think it probably did. I remember feeling like it really put a little pep in my step of just like, and just like, we just got to get away from that guy. It was like, he was so, it was so great to see him like pass. It's like, you called it. I was kind of like, no way, that can't be that guy. And sure enough, it was that guy. Like, yeah, he had his own rebound, which is, like you were saying earlier, that's part of the beauty of these races, right? That like, people are like
multiple
crashing
lives.
and rising.
Multiple
lives. It's a good way to put it. Multiple lives. All right, word.
31 miles in.
Halfway,
50K. Woo. You. 7 hours, 11 minutes.
At the expo, you asked a guy for advice, and he said, an old timer told me once running this race or another ultra, he's like, don't run anything where a golf ball could roll down. Mm-hmm. And we both got a kick out of that. And how many times did we say that during the race?
1,000. We would look at the small seal and be like, golf ball. Yeah. Got to walk it.
Because that got wider and wider. Like, I think early
that was
on,
a great, piece of advice, though, probably added so much to our race because it took any sort of a conversation away where it was like, a golf ball would roll, we're walking that. And that was the rule. And we adhered by it. So,
however, I wish I had not left my camera charging back at my desk and brought it. Although, otherwise, I'm glad to just be present for it and not have taped our race. But the race starts, and you're in the start-finish area at Silver Hill Meadow there. Is the name of where we are? And, there's a big group of family, friends, and people kind of cheering on and stuff. There's a good little crowd at the start of the race. And it's straight uphill. I mean, it's like a pretty substantial...
and everyone
right off the bat, and everybody ran it, and
it
was probably like 3/4 of a mile or half a mile of just kind of like straight uphill because there's people cheering and everything, and it was kind of funny to me in that I was like, we're never going to run anything like this for the rest of the race, so it's just sort of an interesting thing to get sort of like the heart rate. Like,
and then it was downhill for a while right after that, and so like right away. We were running too fast in the uphill, and then we carried it and took the downhill. We were going at like 9-minute mile on the downhill, which is funny because Anywhere else, you're like a 9-minute mile, 10-minute mile, an 11-minute mile. You're like you're feeling really slow.
Yeah.
And we were running 12s, and we're like, we are flying. Like that's not necessary right now.
Totally.
Which I think was smart. We played it very conservative of checking our speed.
I mean, we had to really make sure, right, that I think like we didn't let the race get away from us
or get caught up in a group of people
exactly.
and like run their pace.
Exactly.
We were good about letting people go.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
35 miles.
So much fun.
Marathon to go.
Crushing it.
That's all. Yeah, there you go. Look at that face.
Thinking of the 100K a distance again, or if we ever were to do a 100-miler, I kind of think like if you can just hike the hills and shuffle the rest, like the downhill or the flats, like that's all you got to do. Like, like just the hike and shuffle is like to me is just
that was like
kind of defines.
You just
like,
can't meander the uphills.
Exactly.
Like that's where you're gonna.
Yeah.
You don't have to run them. But like have like an intentional walk up the hills, and you'll be fine.
Exactly.
Because there were some that were just so long, and then there were others that weren't that long.
Yeah.
And you were gaining nothing by running it.
Totally. I mean, do you think it's fair to say there were some hills in that race that were like at least a mile of actual uphill? Like it felt that way.
There was one point at night, like when it was pitch black, when you couldn't see anything. We were spread out enough that you couldn't even see anyone in front of you without a headlamp. So like you literally had no idea. There's no cars driving on these places. So you're just like walking uphill, and we just kept going up. It was like an hour and 15 minutes, I feel like. It was straight, just walking uphill.
Yeah, and like so that means if it's even near an hour, I mean we must have been even with the hiking pace doing like 22 minutes, 20-minute miles or something like that. So
yeah, it was like two miles.
It
plus
must have been
uphill.
2 or 3 miles. I mean, maybe with a little bit of forgiveness and then going back up. But like, yeah, it's I don't know. Like people would think you're exaggerating with just how long. Like there's no hill in our town that would like. We live in a hilly town, hilly region, but there's no place that would go on for that amount of time.
And it wasn't like a gradual hill. It was
like a 10% grade.
Yeah, if you look at the elevation map, you would think you were in the mountains.
Yeah,
like it's up and it's a lot.
And that's where
up
like
and
it has a ton of elevation. Like I think the 100K had like 9,000. Maybe close to 9,500 or something of total elevation gain. Does that sound right?
The 100K, my watch said 10.
Okay, so
like
yeah, right
almost
around
exactly.
10.
Yep.
So yeah, no individually giant peaks, but that's a lot for
it gets
100K.
It's all like in the middle third of the race too.
Yeah.
If you look at the elevation map, it like except for the very end where they kick you right back up a hill to finish that race, which was great. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think I heard the race director Amy describe the elevation profile of this race looks kind of like a heart attack. It's just like there's no flat line. It's all just like a crazy scribble up and down. Not a lot of flat running at all. No, would you say that's kind of fair? That like you pretty much are always going up.
Correct.
And down?
Yeah. The stretches and that's why it's like it's hard on your body in a way that mountain running also is hard. But the downhills too, like were so long. Mm-hmm. My feet were killing me by the end of that race, and like your knees are just so stiff from arresting yourself. Again, like metrics, my watch said I took 110,000 steps during that day. Like that is so many times on an up and downhill to put a different impact on your body.
I know that was easily the most steps I've ever had in a 24-hour period, no question.
Mile 45.
Oh my God, best day of my life.
17 to go.
Holy cow.
Hurting.
So talk to me about, so your stomach went south kind of, it wasn't early, right? It was like 50K in or something, maybe.
I think it was close to mile 40, somewhere around there.
Okay. And then you were kind of maybe almost coming out of it, or you tell me, but I remember one thing that we first time doing it, and we hadn't really looked like super carefully at the course. And I think because of it's going through private lands, they almost don't even really want stuff posted online. So the course is kind of a little bit of mystery, as it should be, because some of it is like private property that people are letting this race go through, which is amazing. But it circles very close to the start and finish area, but we still had a half marathon to go. And I remember I was a little bit out in front of you, and I looked up and I just said it out loud because I just kind of was like stunned that it was like, there's our camp. Like that is the end. That is the finish line. And we had almost exactly a half marathon left. And I remember you were just like, I can't believe you just, no, like you were so bummed. That
I didn't know that that's where we were. Like
Neither.
I was just, and then you were like, hey, there's home. I'm like, oh my, now it's just in my head. All the excuses of like why no one's going to be judgment of like, you'll be proud of yourself. You ran 50 or 40 something
Probably
miles.
49 miles or something like that. Yeah.
Great day, just go hang it up and like you go through all those reasons, and it would never have come in unless they I feel like they do that on purpose to swing you right back by the beginning.
Yeah, I just thought psychologically that is wild that
it was never really a question.
Yeah,
though.
you never really thought about it too hard. I was trying to gauge whether or not oh man.
I knew that no matter what.
I mean, you had been running
time goal. I was going to finish. I could have finished 100-miler if you take any time goal out of it. You could walk forever.
I was really, really impressed, honestly, that you did so many miles without taking in any food, because luckily I had a good stomach day and I was eating something every single aid station, still taking in gels and salt tabs and stuff just along the way, and it was still incredibly hard effort. But I don't know if I was you, if I wouldn't have. I think if I was in your shoes, I very well might have just been oh my god, I could. Just, I can walk 200 yards and I'm in.
That was about where I was coming out of my really bad place too, though. So it hit me at the very end too, and I started feeling better very shortly after that. So
exactly. Once it became full nightfall, I could sense it that I was like, he's back. Yeah, totally.
50 miles in.
50 miles in.
12 to go.
So easy.
Woo! Just running and just looking at the circle in front of you. And that's it.
Exactly. I loved how much the people of Vermont who while it's not a crowded area, it's of course very rural Vermont, but I loved how much people who are on course were out there supporting. You'd pass guys at a campfire at night and at one point people were just chanting Vermont or something, and then remember that in the nighttime, and then there's a lot of old ladies with their garden hoses during the high heat of the day and stuff like that, and it was really nice that the people that are there really seem genuinely happy to see the runners.
We would have a conversation with them in the 60 seconds it took us to pass within
exactly.
conversational distance, but it was great. It was nice to see people, and I mean, it must be exciting, right? Once a year. Yeah. Minus all the traffic.
Yeah, in a gorgeous day, right? Just absolutely beautiful day. So a good reason to sit out the injured drive.
And it's, again, that's one of the unique draws of Vermont is that you are, as a runner, you're accessible to so many people to spectate. Yeah. Whereas in most trail races, see ya, and you go, and that's it. Then you'll see you when you come back out of the woods. But this one, there's people that you get to see along the whole way.
100%. I should have said, I forgot the top, but one of the, I think the fun things about you and I doing this together is we both signed up to enter the lottery as soon as it was available. And then I was driving down to Washington, D.C. for a work project, and I got the live stream of the lottery where they're pulling the names for the lottery. I had it up in my rental car driving down to D.C. Were you watching the live stream, or you had it on audio?
They had it on a shared Excel document, and they fill in names as they drew them. So I could just watch as they were filling this thing out.
But you were watching in real time. Mm-hmm. We might have been texting at a few points. I was at a rest area or something, but amazingly, we were the last two names.
Yep.
Literally the last.
They passed the 350 entrance or whatever.
Yeah, you do all the entrance first, of course. Yeah.
And then you're okay, cool. Well, no way am I going you know how many people entered. They tell you there's 475 for 350 spots, right? Whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
something like that. Yeah.
And then they get to 400. You're oh god, we're deep. We're 50 into the wait list.
The wait list, yeah.
We were the third to last name called out of 475 people. Yeah. It was wild.
And amazing that
the odds of that are just we won.
Well, it was funny too because Amy was doing it with a few other people that are probably on help out with the race, and they would announce we could enter as a team, and you and I'd enter as a team. And you do it so that you either both get in or you don't, or you don't, or whatever. But you're linked together. And every time during the lottery, all the official entrance and then into the wait list, every time they'd say, "Oh, we got another team." I just kept being "Oh, for sure, this is
nope,
us."
Not us.
It was just pretty funny, but made it kind of awesome that I also remember during that live stream, Amy said last year, everybody who was on the wait list day one got a chance to run the race. So I really took it to heart. And I think we talked after it was over and I said, let's just book lodging and just plan
we did.
on it.
We booked a hotel room that day.
And I'm so glad she said that. And it did look at times oh geez, is this going to happen? Because
nothing moved. It
didn't move much. Exactly.
So that was in January that they did the drawing. Yeah. And the race is in July.
So slow change.
By April, May, a couple of people are I didn't start training yet. But
slowly.
Then May hits and all of a sudden you're 50 forward.
Exactly.
When June came along, every day you'd look at it, you'd be 9 or 10 closer.
And it was fun because we both were just still like, we're gonna get it, we're gonna get it, we're gonna get it. But it didn't actually happen until what, like 2.5, 3 weeks before. Like it wasn't like a huge amount of pad, but we were pretty confident it would happen, and sure enough, it did. But that was really fun. It kind of made it a fun, just sort of like way to sort of like get in.
And we had to train.
Yeah, exactly.
Not knowing whether we were going to get into the race or not. 55 miles in.
Yo.
7 to go.
Yo.
Oh, it's uphill.
Tell me now, looking back on it, and we've seen the course, we've done it, what would you do differently? Like, what do you think? Like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff. We talk about what we did well. I feel like we actually did. There was a ton of things we did well. Obviously, we finished and we met our time goal. We also didn't have a ton of pad. We were like a half hour ahead of our time goal, which for such a long day is kind of close.
We also knew, like, there's a point where you're like, you've got it, and you sort of let it go.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think I wasn't worried. I think half an hour is, you know, it's like in a football game where the score is only 7 points difference, but like, it was wrapped up and that was a garbage time touchdown. They were really won by 2 times, you know?
There's no urgency really at the end there,
But what I would do differently, I think there's 2 things from a training perspective. I think, you know, we ran a lot, and I'd come off of that season. I'd run a marathon a couple of months before.
Yeah, you had a pretty heavy season,
And then, you know, Mount Chikora, which is a 15-mile mountain race. So I had some good training in me, but what I think I would do is string together more higher mileage weeks than I did. I mean, I was topping out at like close to 60. I would definitely want to get like 2 peak weeks at like 70 to really fatigue the legs.
Or a higher overall average, because when you say you had a few weeks near 60, what would you think your like weekly average was?
I think during the actual peak training, I was getting, you know, 40 is probably a good average for like a good 5 weeks before that.
Nice.
That's
good.
Because again, I was coming off like a marathon season too, so I felt like the ramp up wasn't very much for me to get there. I think also another thing I do to get to that mileage is instead of tons of long runs, I do like 2 a days. So 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon to really like replicate running on fatigued legs. I think that's really important. And this is just getting used to like my legs do not feel like the Tin Man feeling of continuing to move. And then you and I talked about it. There's in our town Wire Hill, which is a 300-foot hill. But it's pretty steep on one side and is really long on the other, and up and over is like exactly half a mile, I think, or something like that.
Up and down the other side is half a mile.
And
so
then you come back,
you do a mile.
And you and I could just go out there for like 4 hours and run up and over that hill.
And it's basically a dirt road with like rocks, so it's the course.
Because that was one of the things is like that you can't really anticipate until you do this is like the front of my ankle, like the front of my calf. Was really sore from how often your foot was like running at a different angle than flat to the ground because of so much elevation. Those and how long they were.
Like, I heard somebody say that, or it was in a race report I read, but somebody was like, that's a really big wild card for people, is that like you don't realize how much you're going to have this like super specific soreness in your ankle / like front of your ankle. And for the 100-mile day, like that could be the difference of your day. So I agree. I think we didn't. My sense looking back on it is like, I personally feel like because we've done a decent amount of these like 50 milers or like 50Ks and just sort of like have done a lot of endurance racing, and we kind of knew the pace we were going at was such that I think we were both kind of confident about it I felt like we kind of did marathon training.
We did, and we did fine. Like I'll be honest, neither one of our bodies really broke down. I never cramped a single time. Like there was never
on the edge a few times, but
it was the like energy to continue moving forward. That was always. My hips were a little bit stiff at a lot stiff at the end, but like
it's a long day.
Those are the things I think that you can replicate from doing more runs on the up and downhill rather than running 100 miles a week. You know, like for me, I don't think that that's necessary to I'm not racing this first of all. And I just don't think that that's necessary for me to be able to complete that distance. I think to your point, we've run it enough. So,
but I agree. I'm kind of honing on the like, because we did a lot of training together, which was fun. It's particularly long runs. And we did a lot of days where we'd go out and run like 15 or 18 miles at like a 9-minute pace. And
instead of doing like
we didn't do like
20
a 12
like
minute.
12,
we didn't do a lot of 12-minute, and then we really did no hiking. I would say like almost zero, Whereas I think like you do so much hiking in this race to the whole point of like the angle of your foot and all that stuff. Like
that's where the squats come in, man.
I would, yeah.
Those,
you had that
that's how
going.
you replicate that. Get those leg muscles ready
But,
to hold up.
That would be the big difference. Is I would want to do a lot of that wire hill up and over just endlessly, or go up and like do more hikes in the White Mountains and just like spend a long day like doing some hikes.
It was. I also think that if we did the exact same training, and then did that race again, that we would shave, weather adapt, like taking into account, we would shave a lot of time off just from knowing the like you understand it now. You understand what it's like to run for
and that's a big
16 and a half hours,
That is a big mental difference for sure.
Yeah.
60 miles in, 2
hard.
to go.
This is really hard. We're doing it. We got it.
I love it.
Well, man, it was awesome. It was super, super fun to do that race with you. I mean, it was an awesome, like I said, arc to our sort of journey, and I feel like it's hopefully not even a midpoint of all the good stuff we have.
Make sure that if you do this with your friend, keep your story short because it's not a lot of time. We went into that. I think we are uniquely suited for a race like this because we could talk to a wall for 16 hours. Exactly. So it was great to like just hear you tell me a story for half an hour, and then I would tell you a story for half an hour, and
exactly.
And you joke off and be like, "Wait, do you have time for this?" I'm like, I've got like 8 more hours, so let's get to the point here. But
totally. Like we were definitely. It was almost like I sometimes run these things, and I almost feel bad for like the quiet souls you come upon that are struggling.
Oh,
and
they
I'm
hear
just
us like,
and I just sort of think like, man, they must be like annoyed that you and I are just like gabbing and having fun. You know what I mean?
You would have thought that we were in the best place ever the entire race. Never once did we come into an aid station sullied, like we were.
No, and that speaks to like we weren't really like racing it. Like it was just like, hey, it's a privilege to get out here, and we'd love to do it under this time, and it kept us in good spirits. And and it was the other thing about the story thing that I got a kick out of is we had a few points where you just join up with like another runner. And it was kind of fun how like we were asking other people, like remember we ran into a woman who'd done like UTMB and she like twisted her ankle like really early on, and she was kind of just like, oh, it's a long story. Like,
yeah,
I think I've got time, please.
Go ahead.
Tell us every detail.
Go on.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like how often as adults do you kind of have that, like we all live such busy lives. It's one of the reasons.
I have nothing to do but listen to you speak right now. I don't care what you're like. Tell me about your local run club in Haverhill.
Oh my God, yeah,
exactly.
This
couple that we were at.
Because it just helps you pass.
Everything. Tell me about Susan.
She's the worst. It's a real privilege to like do that stuff, spend that time, and not be in a hurry. Right? It's like just to have like a. It's one of the things I really love about this world.
We had no place to be.
No cell phone reception. Like it's such an awesome, it's just like, it's just out in the woods doing cool stuff. So man, it was so much fun. I'm glad it's fun to look back on this. Hopefully for the dozen people that click on this, they'll get some information.
Running. Both of us are going to get it. That lottery luck that we didn't have for Vermont. It's going to be Western States.
There you go.
We both only have one ticket. Pull in there first time.
And hopefully next year we have 4 between the two of us.
What do you mean? No. Man. My ticket will be spent.
Let's go. Right next to me, buddy.
Good work, guys. Good work.
Thank you, guys. 602. Thank you so much.
100K in.
Unbelievable. Tough race.
What did we do? What did we finish in?
I don't know, less than 17 hours. 16 and a half.
16:29, I think.
We did. I probably look like death just looking at my image right there.
100K.
Woo, woo.